Yay.
In this new and indie spotlight episode of Fictional Hangover, we chat with author Amy McCaw, whose newest book, Mina and the Cult, releases on April 4th.
Yay.
I'm so
soon.
excited. So excited for the end of Mina.
But are you excited about the end, or are you sad about the end? Because I'm like everything.
Okay. I'm ready for it to end so you can start something new.
See, that is a good answer. Maybe that's what I should be feeling when I
Oh,
start to
so
feel sad.
diplomatic.
Yeah, when
I
I start
know.
to feel sad, I'll remember that new things can come when
Yeah.
old things die and
Right.
shrivel and
No, 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 no. We are going to resurrect these dying and dead things because it's the undead. Thank
Right.
you.
this is true.
And I want you to
Right.
feel free to now and again go, you know what? Mina needs to have another adventure. And you could write a short story
That's true.
or, a novella or something and go, you know what? I'm not going to have to commit to a 3 series trilogy. I don't have to do that. But we can dip our toes in and we can go and see how they're doing.
I will
'Cause
say,
undead.
I always thought the door was closed. Like in my head, when I talked to my agent about this in 2016, the door was closed, and I said to it, "It's a trilogy. That is all I want to write. I'm not interested in these characters. These are 3 stories." And now I kind of am a little bit interested. Like I do have some inklings of what they do afterwards, and that's normally a sign that there is a book there or several. And I do have one very specific idea that could be a book. But like you said, I don't think it's a case of it would be a whole trilogy. Like, Maureen Johnson did the Truly Devious trilogy, and then each one now is sort of a standalone story. Nothing has been confirmed, as is the way in publishing, but I do like the idea. Like you said, novella, short story, potentially novel. But yeah, nothing. I'm not coming to a trilogy again for a very long time.
I
Unless
would
it's
like
an
to
amazing
see
idea.
Mina celebrate 1999's end. Like, I would like to see her bring in the new year. You can kind of round off the full 90s vibe and really just throw yourself into it and think, oh my God, what's the 2000s? I would love to see Mina celebrate 1999.
That's a short story idea right there. I'm just gonna store that one for later. I love it
As
when people
as
tell me their ideas. I'm
always,
like,
our gifts to you.
Yes,
you
definitely.
do give me many, many gifts, including the Frighteners, which, was my homework from last time was to watch the Frighteners, and it was excellent. I had great fun. I've still got the last 20 minutes to watch, I think. So I was just too tired. I was like, if I don't want to fall asleep and miss this, I'm gonna save it. So I'm gonna finish it right after this.
Oh, well, I mean, we'll pause.
Shall I just go for 20 minutes?
Just go
We'll
Come
just
back.
record you
come
watching the
back.
last 20 minutes and then Patreon gets to enjoy your joy.
I mean, you could. I'm not the most fun and expressive person. Like when I've done this before, like recording myself reading just to see like what it would be like in a vlog, and I am just resting, not very happy face when I'm reading. So yeah, nobody really wants to watch that. You won't ever see the kind of shock reaction from me that people do on TikTok. I'm just too kind of cold-hearted, I think.
TikTok is so fake, though. I can't handle it. It is
We did do that
so
one
fake.
though, Amanda. Do you remember we did that one special at Christmas where we recorded us watching a movie and we just spent the entire time bitching
Yeah, that was pretty great.
because it was so bad.
Yes.
What did you watch?
Oh,
I think I've seen
Let
this.
It Snow.
Let It Snow. Yep, Let It Snow. It was
John
John
Green.
Green.
Maureen Johnson had a
Maureen
story in there, but hers
Johnson.
was the best
Hers
story.
was the best. And
And there was
somebody
another one.
else. And then they made a movie about it on Netflix. And so we read the book and we watched the movie. And that episode, we've tried a couple of things. And I think everyone will note that we have not tried those things again for reasons.
For reasons.
Because it was awkward. But like we had a whole like timing thing going, like, okay, if you're watching or if you're listening to this episode, press play on your movie now so you can watch it with us.
See, that's fun. I mean,
that
fun
was
in inverted commas.
Yeah.
it was the most stressful thing we've ever done.
I showed my friend Mia the Lost Boys, and I did think that that would be a funny experience because she's the biggest scaredy cat when it comes to horror. Even though she wrote a really good story for A Taste of Darkness, she's really easily scared. So she was screaming all the way through. And I was just like really chill, like, oh, this is like just relax watching. And she sat there like, oh, something's gonna jump out, screaming at every little touch of horror. It was great. And she was just really
Adorable.
confused that I fancied Michael as well. She was like, him with all the hair? And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so it was
Hello.
just a really funny experience. We were on two very different sides, and she did really enjoy it, but I don't think she enjoyed it for the same reasons that I do.
Oh,
I love it. I love it.
wow. I just realized that we just jumped right into conversation, and I didn't do like our standard introduction or like any of that
This is
stuff.
what happens when I come along. We start talking about eating cheese from the floor and like how
Right?
sexy Amanda is, and it all just goes really
Oh,
wrong.
cheese.
She
Could
just
really go for
dresses,
some
she
cheese.
dresses as Gary Oldman, and it just really confuses everybody in the vicinity. I mean, so yeah, it's everyone's fault really that we're
It
not
is.
sticking to the
I
script.
would say it's everybody but our fault.
I mean,
I'm
you can
taking
solve.
no
Yeah, I feel
responsibility.
like me and Amanda, maybe Claire is completely pure and innocent in this particular detour, I would
Yes.
say.
And that rarely happens. But yeah,
I was gonna say not
I'm
every
pure
time.
as the driven snow.
no.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. 100% with you there.
So I guess I'm gonna say that stuff. I don't know, 20 minutes in. Hey everybody, welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult, and sometimes other book series, authors, voice actors, and illustrators that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda, that's Claire, and today we're talking to Amy McCaw. Yay! There we
Shock!
go. Back on track.
Hello.
Back on track.
Hello.
It's
I'm
fine.
here.
Oh my gosh.
Right, should
Oh,
we actually talk about Mina and the cult for a little bit?
yes.
Shall we? This might
Just
not
a
be any
little
more
bit.
serious because I've not done this yet. This is my first event talking in person. I've been able to
Ooh.
write normally what the book is about, so it's good. I can practice on you two and see how it goes.
Yeah,
Well,
It's hard
if
to
we're
talk
nothing
about a
of
third
training,
book when, people don't know necessarily what happened in book 1 and 2, so I don't want to ruin it.
assume everybody does, because if they listen to our podcast, they should have heard our
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about Mina and the Undead and Mina and the
Yes.
Slayers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
that's a fair point.
And this is going to be really weird because we're still, the new indie spotlight is a new thing that we're trying, and we're very excited to do because,
Yay.
we love supporting authors, especially when the debut books or new books are coming out in a series. We just love supporting our authors. So this is a great opportunity for us, but there's no spoilers.
Yeah, and that's hard.
It
And
is.
I've had the book for a couple of days now, and I have not read it. I have
Oh.
not opened the spine because
That's
I
good
didn't.
restraint.
Oh, it's been Scully Joe stole it, I'll be honest. I haven't had a look in.
You need to
So
message me. There's a bit that you'll know, I think, when you get to it, that you specifically need to message me when they go down into a basement.
Oh
And I'll
my
just
gosh.
leave it there.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. That's one of the
I'm gonna
questions.
see you later. Bye.
No, I'll go watch The Frighteners. You go read to that bit, and Amanda will just sit and like do
Amanda
different
will just be
voices.
She'll just
Yeah.
be cosplaying the entire
Yeah,
time. It's fine.
I'll sit here, put on the Gary Oldman Dracula like cosplay while you guys are busy, and then
Yeah.
and then it'll
Like
be fine.
mesmerize everybody who's watching.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, apart from teasing us about a basement scene that
Sorry.
I desperately now need to read, thank you. Do you want to
You're
tell
welcome.
everybody what Mina and the Cult is about?
Yes. So
Without spoilers.
if anybody's been paying attention, I have given little hints about Mina's dad in the other books, and you're finally going to get to meet him. It was always a plan that in this book, this elusive father was going to appear. In this case, it happened a few weeks after the events of Mina and the Slayers at Halloween. It's nearly Thanksgiving. It's still fall, so I'm still leaning heavily into the Halloween vibes, as I do. And they're going to Roswell, New Mexico, to visit her father. So if you know anything about Roswell, New Mexico, you may be in for a few alien references. And when they get there, things are decidedly creepy and a little bit off, and then they escalate to terrible pretty quickly. And Mina and her friends, distinctly wounded, go back to the city, and a vampire ripper starts killing people and taunting the press with letters and leaving a calling card on the bodies. So Mina has a serial killer and a cult to
Oh,
reckon with
amazing.
in this one. I feel like I just throw things that I like at my books and like see what sticks. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I literally just threw loads of things I like into this book, and I think you two will like them as well because we are the same people.
Yes.
Basically.
A cult and a serial killer. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Usually it's just one that you've got to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I just let Mina really have it in this one, and yeah, there's a few. I think this is the wildest, like most outlandish one. Like I feel like I really let loose. Like people have been with me this far, and I just kind of really let my weird out in this one. Yeah,
so
it's all out there.
I'm so
You've
excited.
met nothing
I'm so
yet.
excited.
I mean, the truth is out there, as we know from the X-Files. So
Oh. I love also that you used like terrible. It's terrible. That's one of my favorite things. Like, oh, what horrible things are gonna happen? Like, I'm so excited. I need
yeah,
to know.
I know.
I love it. I love it so
It's
much.
my absolute favorite niche to read and write. That absolutely awful things are happening and the characters are really going through it, but they're also still having loads of fun somehow. There's there's witchy stuff in this one. There's a witchy fair, which I always say that. I always say witch and then immediately follow it with witch. There's a witchy fair, which is really fun. So I feel like I love writing things that are fun and also terrible and
Fun and
depressing.
terrible is like our genre that we adore.
Yes, it is.
It is. That's one of my favorite things about making friends with authors. It's like you write for us, I feel like. I'm like,
Exclusively.
yes, this book is just for me.
Exclusively.
I love it.
You write a scene and go, would the fictional hangover girls like this? No,
I mean,
delete, rewrite.
I kind of do. Like you are pretty much my moral compass at this point. Like I think book two in particular was just littered with you two. It was just I just copied everything that you said to me in the Mina and the Undead interview. Like Kids from Rose, got it. Amanda answered that. I'll just put that in there. What
I
other
have never
stuff did I steal?
squeezed so much as I did reading
know,
Mina
it
and the
was
Slayers.
so great. And then when Candyman was like, oh my god, it's Candyman. She put Candyman in just for me.
It was the vampire hunter somehow. I was like,
Yeah, I didn't quite go as Fictional Hangover like intentional in this one, but there was, like I said, that whole basement scene where I went, yeah, this is the thing that me and Claire talked about. I don't remember when though. I wish I could give you more of a clue. I can't remember. I've been on here that many times. It was on one of the episodes at some point. And yeah, I generally just keep you two in the back of my mind of various things like, oh, the girls are like this.
I mean,
Oh,
at
they're
this
gonna be
point, this
mad
is
at
what your
me.
5th appearance with us as well. Is it 5th?
I think it
2
might be something like that.
Halloweens, 2 Minas, now this.
I still don't understand would you rather though. Like I'm still gonna be your most like practical, sensible answers.
Yes,
I
so
try and
precious
channel
with Would You
Kev,
Rather.
like I try and channel Kev's like random, like his are usually about bodily functions, and I try to get to that level, but I just don't have it in me. I'm really sorry.
It's okay.
That's fine. It's fine.
At least I know that now. The first time I did it, I just stepped in there like, well, you know, I'd marry Alaric from Vampire Diaries because he has a steady job, and you two are like, oh, you don't understand this game.
You're so cute.
At least
The
I know
sweet
now.
summer child.
I know that I'm bad at the game now, and I still can't get any better.
The whole point of Would You Rather is to make the question work for you. Just you twist your answer to make that happen.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just a real like there's a wall goes down. You say, would you rather? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to give a sensible answer.
We always
Does
say
make
there's
the
no
most
option C,
sense.
but you can create your option C if you're careful enough.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. What I need to do is analyze. That section always just fills me with dread because I know that I'm not good at it. Maybe I need to analyze the good answers and be like, yeah, okay, I can write stuff. Maybe I can write myself an answer. I should like prepare.
Yeah,
into the
and
role.
like we always send you questions in advance, so you should
You
just
do.
take time out of your day to pen the perfect would you rather.
I really
response.
try. There's just nothing there. I can write whole books and give me one. It's like writing the synopsis of a book. Ask me to write a book. Yes, I'd love that. Write a synopsis. I have to.
That a synopsis of a book is really hard. Why do you think we write such detailed summaries? It's easier.
Yeah, honestly. And you know what my agent always says to me? Will you write a synopsis? And I'm like, I write like a 10-page one to send it. And she's like, that's really not what I meant. Can you make that 2 pages? And I'm like, I knew you were going to do that. You do that every time. And I just hope that one time you'll say, oh, thanks. That's really good. You've finished.
Well done, condescending pat on the head.
Yeah, no, I'm really not good. And I've written all the blurbs for the Mina books too. So and I find them really hard to write, with little tweaks from various people. But yeah, predominantly my own brain. Yeah,
Nice.
I still find them really hard. I can rattle off a chapter in a book faster than I can write a synopsis this one.
Blurbs are really hard because it's the hook. How do you sell a book without giving away too much, but
Especially when
also
it's
not burying the lead?
it's the third one, and it's like I don't want to say like who's a vampire, who's a human, who's a slayer, and stuff like that. So I'm just talking real generalities. By the third one, it was just like some stuff happens in some places, and some people do bad things, and Mina has to deal with them. That's about as specific as it gets, really.
As long as you say Vampires New Orleans 1995, I think you've sold the book.
Yeah.
Generally that does it. It's so funny. I think it's a real niche, but it's a niche that people love. So if I do just say vampires feels a bit like Buffy, they just go, I'll buy it. That's fine.
Yeah,
Don't tell me
totally.
anymore.
Sold. And now you're throwing in cults and serial killers. So like that's just icing on top.
Yep.
That's just a cherry on top. It's perfect.
Two of my favorite things. People at work realize like they think I'm really sweet, and then they say stuff like, I saw this thing about a cult on TV, and I'm like, oh, me, I know about cults. They just look at me like, oh, okay. Have you joined one since we
I love a good cult documentary, and I'm really into my
Honestly.
true crime right now. Like, oh yeah, all this murder and mayhem. I was doing I got given a really monotonous task at work, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, Claire, you've got to do this." I was like, "It's fine, I don't mind. I have murder to listen to," and they're like, "Ah, okay." I was like, it's really violent as well. Would you like to hear about it? No, it's fine. Okay.
It's really funny when you meet people who are really nice, but just are not in your particular, this kind of niche. It can get a little awkward. Like when they asked what my book was about and I sold my first book, they were just really surprised. And at the end, I was like, "What did you think my book was going to be about?" And they're like, "Not murder and vampires, like unicorns and fairies." I'm like, "Well, if the fairies don't eat people and the unicorns aren't like impaling people with their horns, then I probably wouldn't write it."
Yeah, what's the point?
Some people are weird though. I mean, but we say this all the time, don't we, Amanda? Like, you'll look at us on the outside and we're all like, oh, like normal people, but our souls are black. We like murder. The
Yes.
gorier, the better.
Yeah,
we're goth on the inside.
Yeah, I'm dead on the inside and glittery on the outside.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lovely way to be. I think that's what people at work think of me. They're like, "Oh, she's like Barbie/princess interested, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, but also death and cults and vampires and serial killers. Not necessarily in that order. And if they're all of the things, if they're like a serial killing vampire in a cult, I mean, that isn't in this book. I'm really sorry.
Also
but
a princess?
Yeah. Yes. I'm just gonna write all this down. Like, that's
perfect.
Romantasy gold. That's my next book right there.
Oh, but what was that book thing that we had a couple of years ago in the first year? It was like Dark Vampire Werewolf of the Night.
Yes.
And yeah, so you've got to have the Dark Vampire Prince Werewolf of the Night or something like that. Yeah, you've got to
we had a
have
great
that in there.
conversation with Louis Stowell, who is a friend of mine and Mia's, and writes the Loki series, which are middle grade books. And because she's mine and Mia's friend, we asked her to write a story for the anthology, and she wrote a great one. But it was so funny that she clearly doesn't know about romantasy and doesn't know about. So we're trying to explain like sexy fae to her, and she was just like, "Fairies can be sexy." Like, yeah, that's like the best kind of fairy. Like, there's deadly fairies, there's sexy fairies, there's cute fairies, and then there's deadly and sexy fairies. And she was like, "Oh my God, like I didn't even know this world existed." And you could just see her like reconfiguring, like, let's let to be fairies, deadly, sexy, six-pack fairies. Like, there's just a whole thing that Louis never thought of.
The worst fairy is a
you're
Tinkerbell.
welcome.
Nobody wants a Tinkerbell. We want a six-pack. We want, if they've got fangs.
Ooh,
Yeah.
fangs.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
a tail. Oh.
Uh-huh. We want a
Don't
bad
know about
attitude.
I don't know about a tail. Yes to all the other things, but yeah, I'd have to kind of work my way up.
Come
It
on.
depends on what the rest. I mean, if it was Jason Momoa with a tail, I'd kind of be fine with the tail.
Hello.
but
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I think he could work a tail.
Has he not done that? Wasn't there a Christmas movie where he was sort of a bit like that?
Don't. Is there? Is there?
There was a Netflix movie that Jason Momoa was on, and I swear he had like fangs and stuff. I might be making this up.
Do you
It
know
might have been
what?
a
Was this a
dream.
dream? Was this a dream that you had?
I started watching.
You talk, I'll go on IMDb.
I think I started watching a film that he was meant to be in, and I got really confused because he didn't appear to be. Maybe I needed to watch a bit longer to see Jason Momoa with fangs and a tail. Do I just fast forward the movie to that bit? Or
mean,
Claire just had a really specific like waking fantasy.
it won't be the first time and it won't be the last time.
Maybe Jason Momoa is listening to this episode and he'll be like, okay,
I mean, of
sold.
course.
Give me a tale.
And just and then he can come and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
I feel like that would only be polite since we suggested the idea,
Right.
And Claire's now like questioning everything.
I'm
A lot is
literally
riding on
on
this.
IMDb trying to find out what Jason Momoa. What was the Netflix movie? I'm probably getting this all wrong.
Jason Momoa has a tail. Discuss.
Yes. Okay, so while you're looking up Jason Momoa with a tail, potentially, I would like to try to get back on track and talk about Mina and the cult a little bit. Were you inspired by a particular cult?
Just all of them. Is that okay?
All of them. All of the cults.
I
That's
went
fine.
down such a cult rabbit hole. I mean, I owned a lot of cult books anyway. I ordered a few more. I listened to lots of podcasts, watched loads of TV shows. Can you have a favorite cult? Like, is that a
Yes, yes,
thing?
you can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's okay. Good. I feel like I'm in good company that I can say like
Sure.
Nixium. Nixium is the cult that I am absolutely obsessed with. That I just find ridiculous that a bunch of Hollywood celebrities just joined this in modern times and were quietly just branding each other and trying to induct people into their weird little team that all slept with the same man. Like, it's terrible and it's really sad that it happened to those people, but I just find that's what is so fascinating about cults. Like, why do we want to hear about such horrible things? And I think it is just because what in human nature makes somebody be a cult leader and what in human nature would make somebody join one? And like, what would have to happen to get me to join the cult? Because some of these women that I look at, like, I've met Chloe from Smallville, did not expect her to be a cult member at the time that I met her. Like, what is it that made her think that that was a good idea? And like, does she still think it's a good idea? That's why I think I'm obsessed with it, is the human psychology element. Like, how can somebody who appears so confident together has everything or had everything? What made her join a cult? That's what I'm so interested in. And that's what is interesting exploring in a YA book though, because I kind of didn't go the direction I would have done if it was an adult book, because most cults seem to be about the apocalypse or about having sex with the cult leader. And I didn't really go into that route because I thought, I know some YA books have done that. Without too many spoilers, The Project by Courtney Summers very much went into different and very dark angles of cults. And I went into some of the dark angles, but I kind of kept it more the usual Mina level. I didn't want to suddenly in the third book go completely rogue. I think my publisher might have been, they were probably worried when they saw, so the first one was undead, the second one was slayers, the third one is cult. I bet they were thinking, oh, okay. I'm glad we trust you. But I did say to my publisher, in the third book there are some slightly wild things. And I sent her a list of them, like, can you just check that you're happy with all of these? Because obviously I'm writing this book right now. By the time you read it, it might be too late. So, and all of them, she was like, I think she said, yes, absolutely yes, finally. And yes, I trust you. Which was the wildest one that I left till the end. Just
oh my God. Okay.
So yeah, there's a few things. There's a few things in this book that are just, the bits that I saved because I thought they were a bit too much for book 1 and 2. I just put them all in this one.
Amazing.
Interesting. Interesting.
And yeah, and if you aren't a big cult fan and you're thinking, I don't know anything about cults, you will know lots about them because I give helpful little summaries about all the cults. Jared knows everything, as we know, about creepy stuff, as we do. If somebody said to you, give a summary of your 5 favorite cults, you could do it, right? So Jared does the same thing for me. And he's like, well, let me tell you what a cult is. I'm like, about all these cults. And then like, she says, okay, tell me about the worst cult. So he tells her about the worst ones. Sadly, Nixium wasn't a thing publicly in the 90s. It was happening, I think, but it hadn't been exposed, so that isn't in there. But I think most of the others are. I kind of went full on, here's a summary, here's a history of cults for anybody who wants it, and if you didn't, sorry, it's there anyway.
That'd be so good.
I feel if you're reading Mina and the cult, you probably know what you're getting.
You're probably expecting at least one cult.
I do laugh when I see, like, I remember the NetGalley reviews for the first book. Some of them were like, I don't like vampires and I don't like murder mysteries and I don't usually read YA books. And I didn't like this book. I was like, okay. Did the Mina and the undead part of it not give you some clues? And like the blurb that has all those words in that you just said. So I don't normally seek reviews out, but certain ones that kind of accidentally cross my path, I find really funny. I can't help it.
There's not a lot of why it's actually cover topic of cults as well. So that's makes it more interesting.
Do you know what I think it is? Because it is such a kind of difficult area to tread the line on. Because if you went full cult, I don't think it could be a YA book. I think Courtney Summers is known as being really higher end YA, so she managed to put a lot of the darker stuff in. Mine, weirdly, some 9-year-olds read mine, and I don't write for them, so I didn't kind of sanitize it for that purpose. But it is in the back of my mind where I'm like, there are 9 to 11 to 12-year-olds reading this too. So I would have read stuff like that at that age, but I just feel like I have to be mindful. So maybe I think that's why people have steered clear, just because I know some other authors who have stuff coming at some point about cults. At least one that you really like. Won't say anything else. But yeah, so I think some of us are dipping our toes into it, but it's definitely not the easiest thing I've written about, just because I wanted it to be shocking enough. Otherwise, it's just a group of people having a nice time and living in a little commune together. So it needed to be a cult, like an actual cult, not just a group of friends. But I didn't want it to be really badly dark and stuff. So yeah, that's maybe why there aren't that many. It was a bit of a headache, but a fun headache to have.
A lot of the cults do kind of cross the line between abuse as well, and you don't. It's when you start having to give a massive list of trigger warnings, you kind of go, well, am I actually going to hit the right demographic here?
Yeah. I mean, I struggle
potentially
with
what
that.
older YA.
Yeah, one of the cults in particular, I don't remember which one it was. It might have been the Waco, Texas one, where a big part of that when it came out was that the leader was essentially having relationships with everybody, regardless of their age.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of don't want to skirt around this. I want to say it, but I also don't want to say something that parents are then going to be like, oh gosh, somebody's introduced this thing to my child that they're not ready to talk about. So some of that was really difficult, because I found that in the other books, some of the like New Orleans myths were really, really dark, and I had to figure out, like, I don't want to kind of glance over anything historical, but I also don't want to introduce anything that's at too like high a level for somebody.
I can't remember which cult it is. Was it the one where they drank the Kool-Aid, where the
Yep, that's in there.
it wasn't sexual though. Was that the non-sexual where they all got castrated? So because sex was not, there was what I can't remember which cult it is, and I literally listened to a podcast about it very recently, but I can't remember which one it is. But even the leader got castrated because sex was not part of the cult, which refreshing. I mean, can I use that in terms of the cult? But it was it was one of the ones. Yeah, it was one of the ones where space aliens are going to come down and take us all away, but sex was not involved. They were castrated, and I think there was a mass suicide as well, which is not great.
No, it is absolutely incredible, like how many of them descend into that. And I think what I find really interesting too is that at the beginning, some of them sound quite nice, like Nixium at the start was courses for young women predominantly, and then some young men, and then different age groups, about trying to be your best self and kind of like motivational speaking and stuff. And then underneath it all was just this really like first demoralizing people and breaking them down, and he kind of had an inner circle. So like I know Christine Croik from Smallville, who Kev and I love, went on some of his courses but didn't get into the inner circle, because I assume when he profiled people, some of them he didn't invite like to the kind of awful stage. Like she just went thinking that she was doing like courses about being her best self and being confident and stuff. And I find that really interesting with cults too, how they just escalate and they start off, some of them sounding kind of nice and okay, and then when you find out what they're really about, it's like drinking the poisoned Kool-Aid and all the other scary, horrible things.
I think it might have been Heaven's Gate. I'm doing a quick Google, but I think it might have been Heaven's Gate.
I didn't mention that one. That is one of the few really famous ones I didn't mention, because I did read all those facts and think there's no way to kind of say that without saying it. So I left that one out of there. Most of the other main ones are in there. Charles Manson gets a mention, and Waco gets a mention.
Did you hear about the scary one in Japan in the 90s as well?
I don't think I put that one in, because I did try and digest that, and I was like, this is too much.
It was terrifying, because when I was reading about it's intelligent people, scientists, geneticists, people who you think would be logical, but they created I think it was a gas or something like that, and it was a chemical that was released into the subway system, and it didn't kill everyone. I think it killed like between 10 and 20 people, but it did leave many people seriously injured and hundreds affected on the subway system in Japan. I think that's freaking terrifying.
And I think that
Like,
wasn't the idea of that, if I remember right, that that was like a small scale trial, and then they were hoping to go bigger with stuff and like,
I think so,
do things
yeah.
to water supplies and whole cities and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
at what point?
I'd never heard of that until very recently. That's terrifying.
Yeah,
And you
that
said
was
Manson as well, and I
yeah.
think people forget that Manson, he's the most well-known serial killer who isn't the serial killer. He was a cult leader.
Well, yeah, because a lot of it he didn't do himself. He just
No.
kind of brainwashed people into doing it for him.
They were on Belladonna, Amanda.
I know. I
Oh,
know.
crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
but I do find it really fascinating because like, did those people in Japan, did those scientists think that they were doing something for the good of humanity? At some point, was it for the good of humanity? And when do you drop off that cliff of it not being?
Yeah. When
It's
did
it's
it
not
go
a line,
wrong?
is it? It's got to be like a really gradual thing that you don't even realize is happening, I imagine.
Can't understand the logic of thinking, let's release this chemical on a subway system during rush hour when it can get everybody. I mean, that's terrorist behavior.
Yeah, it is. It must be some severing of like morality of we are doing this for such an important reason that the cost is worth it. I have to
Yeah.
put myself in the minds of these horrible people when I'm writing books, and I tend to find you can usually find a reason for what they're doing. Like in one of the books, it was, one of the early ones, that somebody was really in love and he was doing it for love. And like for him, he thought that that was a really good thing. Like he loved someone and he was prepared to do anything for her, including, a bit of like murdering. And like I think that this is how these people think. Like
Yeah.
literally the love is the important thing. And so I don't know what their mindset was, but I do find it interesting trying to I know that I couldn't get myself there, but I can see there. Maybe that's why I can write about these characters because I can kind of let it unravel and see how far that could go. But I just can't see myself like meeting someone and thinking, do you know what? I am gonna like leave my family and go and live in this remote like area with you, and you've got loads of guns and stuff, and you want me to have sex with you. Like, I can't see any point me being okay with any of it. Like I just don't I can't stand it. Like that's the thing I struggle with. I can see the cult leader mentality. I can't see the cult member mentality.
I think that's why it's so fascinating, isn't it? And like, it's the same with true crime. Like, moving on to like serial killers as well. It's interesting, and you kind of want to understand the psychology of it, but you're never fully going to be able to wrap your brain around it unless you have that capability potentially. It's just
I
weird.
went to a
It's just
really,
weird.
really cool talk, which you two will understand, called Conversations About Serial Killers. And it was with a criminal profiler, and she just talked about loads of famous cases and then stuff that she'd been involved with. And she mentioned this scientist who'd been doing tests about psychopaths. I think it might have been sociopaths, one of the two. People who are more likely to commit serious crimes anyway. And he'd kind of, I think psychopathy was part of it, but there were other criteria that are likely to make a serial killer. And he tested loads of people that he knew. And one of the people, I think it was like one of those, do they call it a blind test in science where you don't know who the people
Mm.
are?
Mhm.
And one of the people came out as having these criteria, and he realized it was himself. And he was like, oh dear, and he talked to his mum about it, and he was like, I think he was quite worried, like thinking, does this mean I'm going to be a serial killer? And she was like, no, because I've raised you, and like you don't have that, like you have that potential, but you don't have that in you. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if he'd been like, when you look at the histories of serial killers, I won't go into it because it's awful, but
Mm.
generally, like they've had childhood trauma. There's lots of, not all of them, but lots of boxes can be ticked where really awful experiences have shaped their young minds. And like his mum was saying, like maybe you have this predisposition, but you don't have that. And I found that so interesting. I was like, how many people actually are like on this path, but they're never going to step onto it because of the things that have happened to them.
Well, I think don't they say like CEOs of companies, big companies, or politicians and the people, they have the potential of sociopathic behavior, but they're not going to go around killing people,
Yes.
and because they have an instilled moral compass, it just might be a bit more floppy than or wider
A
than
floppy
or the
moral compass.
a
I'm
floppy
sorry, that's
moral
got to be the
compass or the
quote of the
extreme.
day.
There's a bit
You
of a
win.
noodle.
You
It's a noodle
win.
moral. It's a moral compass made with noodles. But like you're right
Oh my
about the
God.
history of them though, and having a parent that cares and having like an emotional connection and being able to learn what's right and wrong. It's like you hear about the serial killers and you feel so sorry for them, but I don't feel sorry for the serial killer. I feel sorry for the child,
Yeah,
not
the
the
child that
adult.
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless of course you're a child serial killer, which are absolutely horrendous, then I just, that's a different kettle of fish completely. So in Mina in the Cult, let's bring
Yes.
it back. There is a serial killer, and in the
Yes.
summary that's on Goodreads, so this isn't a spoiler, it's on Goodreads. It talks about letters being sent, which is massive Jack the Ripper, Zodiac Killer, BTK. Were they all inspirations or one in particular?
Funnily enough, for all the people you said, yes, is the answer. I knew that I wanted, so usually when I'm thinking of a book, little fragments of ideas are there. And very early on, I knew that my pet serial
Oh,
killer.
yours.
I know, oh, it's so cute. They write letters to the press. And that was before I knew exactly what they were going to do. That was it, because I've always been a little bit obsessed with the fact that Jack the Ripper almost was giving them ways to catch him. And like other serial killers who've done this, it's like they're not satisfied with actually doing it. They kind of dangle it in front of the people who are investigating. Again, super interesting psychologically. So I thought, this is what I'm going to do. And then I was like, what other calling cards do serial killers leave? So I went down a massive rabbit hole. And Zodiac and the others you mentioned came up. Son of Sam was in there as well. I am quite interested in the idea of, which I did in the second book as well, like having a pattern by which you kill different people, and like leaving ways that make it easier to catch you, I think is super interesting. So that was kind of what I wanted to come up with my own little things, because there's letters and then there's one other thing that kind of unites these victims as well. That's just a little thing. But it's another like calling card type thing. And I've always wanted to do that. So
I've been rewatching the
off all the killer
Mindhunters,
things that I
so
want.
I'm going
Oh
to
yeah.
be psychoanalyzing this book and going, oh, right, so we have a victim profile. The unsub could be this because they were never given a hug from their mother as a child, and that one
Please,
time a bully pulled their hair.
please do tell me your suspects, because so two people so far have posted about it. They've read their copies like super early. And both of them were like, oh, the ending, the reveal, like I got them. And I'm kind of keeping a tally here. Like I want to know if my reveals are good. Like, have I managed to trick people? Because it is interesting, like which ones people find more obvious. Like in book one, I deliberately put some obvious stuff and some not as obvious, because I figured the obvious stuff might hide. They're not as obvious. And I loved it when people were like, ha, I worked that out, and they were so proud. And I'm like, oh, that was the one that I put in there just for you to find. Well done. So I do find that fun, like having like layered reveals and kind of hopefully stuff that people won't expect. I really try. So please let me know if the things that I do surprise you. One of my friends said she screamed at one bit, so I'm kind of aiming for more of that too quite early on.
We don't like to be thwarted. We will be reading very carefully because we do not like to be thwarted by red herrings and tricksy happenings.
I can't remember exactly for the others. I think I thwarted you like a good percentage of the time. Like I think, without going too much into spoilers, because this is not too spoilery, I think I was quite pleased when I listened to your like review ones. I was like, yeah, I got you on some occasions. And you two, I think, of like me, like you're really astute readers. So and you do read for that. I think some people really read just for the enjoyment of it, and you read like I do, like you actively want to crack every case wide open before the people in the book do. Yeah.
We'll solve the Jack the Ripper case. We'll find out who the Zodiac Killer is.
I mean,
we'll do all of that.
We could do a whole podcast on this. Like, is it H.H. Holmes? I watched a whole series about that.
No, that's just silly.
I thought it was quite fun and compelling.
It's a nice idea, but it's not H.H. Holmes. The MO's not right.
Yeah, it's not the kind of surgical precision, is it? H.H. Holmes just wanted to build a murder hotel and like kind of let people suffer in it.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Basically.
Yeah. There was a really good documentary about him I watched like years ago. I was like, it's just I'll just watch 5 minutes, it's fine. And then like 2 hours later,
That's what happened with Kev and I watched that series that I think he was a descendant of, was he a descendant of Jack? No, he must be a descendant of H.H. Holmes, but we don't know who Jack the Ripper is. So he was a descendant of H.H. Holmes, and he was trying to see whether H.H. Holmes could have been Jack the Ripper, and looking at timelines and visiting both sides, of US and UK. And yeah, we watched 2 minutes of it, and then the next thing you know, we've watched it twice through the whole series. Hours of our lives just gone. Which is why I write books like this, so it's all fine. It's all research.
Yes, it's research purposes.
It's research for Kev too, who doesn't write books about it. That's another story.
Well, I'm sure he'll proofread some things,
I
or
mean,
you need a voice to say these things to, and they need to have some familiarity with the source as well.
what you two can probably do is see the Kev touches, because anything that is a little bit silly in my books is probably an idea that Kev had. I've been like, actually, yeah, let's just go with it. So there is some Kev in this book. You two feel free to try and spot it. I'm sure you will.
Bodily functions.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, there's a little angle of the cult that was very much held by Kev.
Is
And it
there
is
any
good.
pee in it? Because if there's pee in it, it was Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but yeah, anything silly is usually inspired by Kevin. And if I let it carry me away, I can usually make it like fit my purposes. Because I think the 90s is like campy and silly and like frighteners. Like, I don't know whether I'm laughing or scared or both. And that's the kind of the great feel of the 90s, isn't it? Where it's just like Lost Boys, it's really silly and fun and a bit scary, and all of the
And
good
just
things that the 90s
Perfect
was.
in every
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that Kev has his parts of the book, and we might have been recording when we talked about this. I can't remember. I want to know how many fictional hangover references are in this one. Like there were quite a few in
I
book
mean,
2.
I completely peaked in book 2 because I think we'd had an interview and it was super packed with like loads of gold 90s references. And I just kind of went with it. And I knew that you two would be fine with that. Like, I think that you contributed a lot to the world of Mina. So I didn't think I was going to get a lawsuit in the mail or anything.
No.
No.
So yeah, book 2, I fully went for it. And book 3, there is one definite one, which is a spillover from book 2. I kind of reused something that I was like, I just need to get this in there just for Claire and Amanda. And then, as I mentioned to Claire earlier, there is one scene where Mina and a few other people go down into a basement, and that was not inspired by Claire, but Claire added some things to that scene. The scene was already there, and you gave me some of the content of it. So
You have no idea how much I need to read this book.
I feel like you're gonna go straight after this and read until they get to a basement. At least it's quite near the beginning, so it's not like on page 300 or anything. It's probably in the first 30 pages. I don't know. I see it on a manuscript more, so I'll send it to you too at the end of this, Amanda. Then you can actually read it together.
Okay. Yes. Good. Thank you.
Oh, if it's electronic version, Control F the word basement.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's cheating.
There's so many basements though in my books. To be fair, it might lead you to the wrong basement. I mean, it's the thing, isn't it, of vampire and horror books? Like, they're good for vampires' basements, no windows, no daylight. So
okay, so we've got the basement for me.
Yeah.
Who is Amanda going to be inspired to cosplay? Is there a character?
Do you know what? There is, but it is like a huge spoiler. So you need to read it and you'll know, but you'd have to be that. Oh, it's so difficult. You'd have to be that person, but nobody would know why you were that person.
Is this person in New Orleans, or are they exclusively in Roswell?
I'm not telling you. You'll have to guess.
Is the basement in Roswell or in New Orleans?
The basement is in Roswell, I will tell you that much. And I want to know, you two, this is a serious question, whether you find Mina's dad sexy or not. This is a very important question.
Okay.
And what celebrity you think he might be a little bit based on.
If he's not Jeffrey D. Morgan, I'm going to be very surprised.
I mean, it might be, it might not. You really need to read the description of it and then see what you think. But yeah, I kind of want to know, because I find him really sexy. And I know that's super problematic because of various other things that you'll find out. But yeah, I just want to know, like, how bad do you have to be to like not be sexy anymore?
because we're not in spoiler territory, he can
I'm
be
trying
sexy.
really-
In this episode, he can be sexy. When we talk to you and drag you back for the actual spoiler-filled
Yes,
Mina
this
and the
is
cult,
true.
then he can be problematic. But for now,
Sure.
we have sexy dad.
I kind of want to know how problematic you have to be to not be sexy anymore. Because, like, Eric and Spike, problematic,
they're
but so
problematic.
sexy
Yeah.
that it kind of, like, doesn't matter as much, which feels really bad to say. But, like, I love Spike. I know that he does some really terrible things, but I still really love him.
But the problem
Um,
is, though, because they're fictional, you have that safety barrier.
Well, yes, you do, because you can say, actually, a writer did that. Like, I think that's the way I rationalized the Spike thing, like, that happened later on. I was like, he wouldn't choose to do that. That was a writer decision. And I think I literally do just separate myself. That's where, like, the fourth wall is, like, lifted. I'm like, no. Spike didn't do that. The writer of that episode did. And I will just, die on that hill.
So
I know. I would defend Spike funnily enough, I've arranged the group of people to do like a kind of Buffy talk around, and one of them is an Angel super fan and the rest of us are Spike super fans, and it's gonna be great. I feel like it's gonna be
there's gonna
like
be a murder.
I feel for my friends. I do really like Angel. I have to say, I am like a little bit Team Angel. Teen me was Teen Angel, like up to age maybe 13, 14, and then Spike just kind of reasserted himself when I watched it in my mid-teens. I was like, where was he in this the first time I watched it? Like, how did I not notice him? Like, I think when my hormones probably kicked in, like,
As long
I
as you are
noticed
never
Spike.
Team Wyndham Price, then it's fine.
I was not.
Thank
I
you.
emphatically, like, Alison Hannigan's, I mean, she was married to him. Is she still married to him? I don't
They are
know.
still married.
I imagine he's not like Wesley Wyndham Price in real life. That's the
Do
only
you know
way I
what
can
freaked me
justify
out? He's
that.
in the Marvel movies. He's the voice of Thanos.
What? What?
Yeah.
Hang on, sorry. In the Avengers movies?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I just like
Yeah.
had to
You know,
kind
do
of
you remember the Lord of the Rings movies when this voice of Sauron, the mouth of Sauron comes out and he's got big
Yeah.
jaggy teeth? Well,
yeah.
there's a very similar looking character in the Avengers movies, but it's like the voice of the voice of Thanos. It's him.
Oh, when he does the talking to his like acolytes, and
He is
is it in the
in the
cave?
costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's
What?
it's in the it's like the space islands.
Oh,
The
yeah.
next one along, Stan Lee's over there getting with his spacesuit on. Yeah, it's Dennis. Oh, what's his name? The Sacco?
I don't know. All my brain, Alexis Denisoff. Yeah.
Alex Denisof. Yeah, it's him.
All I could think was Wesley Wyndham Price.
Because if you think
Price.
about it, he's a Whedon. He's a Whedonite because of
This is true.
Buffy. So
I've just got really, really like sidetracked by that. I did one of my friends the other day, I very nearly, instead of saying thanks, my phone predictive texted Thanos. And I was like, I then changed it thanks and told him afterwards. I was like, my phone thinks that thanks is like, it uses the word Thanos more than thanks. Like, what is that? Like, that's the word it thought I was going to write. Like, and my friend was just like, well, it knows that you're like a nerd at heart. I'm like, yeah, not really just at heart, like my whole being.
Yeah, nerd life.
I mean, I don't know whether there are going to be people listening. For those listening, I'm wearing a Lost Boys
Such a
t-shirt
good
with a
I have
shirt.
Buffy on my
spelling vampire.
t-shirt.
Yay! That is a cool t-shirt.
I have
What do you have
Buffy.
on your t-shirt, Amanda? I feel
No,
like we
my
need to...
shirt's not that exciting. My shirt is a cute library shirt that
Oh, no, that's exciting.
you can't take a
Oh,
look inside a
like
book.
it.
Yeah, my
That's
shirt's
really
cute
cute.
today.
Yeah,
But really,
you get points.
I chose the purple shirt so I could wear the purple lipstick so I could have the purple Dracula glasses. There was reason
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah, it all just escalated from the Dracula glasses, really.
Yeah.
So again, it's my fault. I will take
Yeah,
full
it's all your
responsibility
fault.
because I just need a little infusion of Dracula in my day to kind
Yeah.
of feel balanced and
Yeah.
sane.
I mean, what I should have done instead of wearing the glasses is I should have drawn, the facial hair on.
But then you wouldn't have got any good conversation out of me.
Too
Because I would have
distracting.
just kept getting distracted and be like,
Far
sorry,
too
what did you say?
distracting.
And if you just said see me, I'd have just dissolved into a puddle. Like, so if you want to really mess with me, then feel free to do that. But otherwise, maybe don't.
Well, now we need to go back to where, Claire's reading the first 30 pages of the book and I am putting on the cosplay. We need to backtrack to that.
And then as soon as we've all finished, all you see, we just look back up and just see me.
You will not surprise me more though than the sight of Kendara Blake with her head sticking out of a turkey's bum. Like,
It's so funny.
Nothing. Honestly, on days where I feel a little bit like sad, I sometimes just think about Kendra Blake with a head and a turkey bottom, and I just feel better. Like,
Yeah.
I really have never been so surprised coming onto a Zoom as seeing that. So, in fact, I might need to go. There is video of that somewhere. Was that just a
It's
Patreon
on
thing?
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought that.
it's
Yeah,
there.
We don't
I might.
hide content behind Patreon.
Yeah.
The unedited versions of most of the videos are there, but everybody gets the book club and everybody
Yes.
gets the lives.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't watch the YouTube ones. I should be watching them as well. I enjoy seeing faces, but I don't know. I listen to the podcast when I'm doing stuff, so maybe
Yeah.
that's just the way. I find it's like audiobooks and podcasts are like I'm driving or I'm doing something, and that'd be a bit silly to drive and watch YouTube at the same time.
It would
I have
probably not
YouTube
be
like
silly.
on and don't watch it. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
there's
Actually, that's a good
paranormal
idea.
programs that I watch, and let's face it, nothing ever happens on these
No.
paranormal programs that you
Yeah.
need to see.
You just need to
So
hear somebody say, "What's that?"
yeah, so when I'm at work, I have like my setup is this section is work, and then I have my my home laptop just playing something in the background for some busy noise, and every now and like, look, there's nothing there. Although it's just a voice phenomena, and they replay it anyway, so I don't have to turn my head.
Fine.
It's a voice phenomenon that somebody that's pre-recorded going.
Somebody just
background.
farted. That's all
Yeah.
it is. It's not. It's pipes. It's dripping. It's the wind, or it's your wind. You know.
I do have a story idea that kind of plays on a lot of what you just said. That I'm hopefully going to write in the next year or two. I really want to
Love.
write a ghost hunting book.
Yes, I
Yeah,
would
we need to read
adore
that.
that. There's not. I love ghosty stuff. There's not enough of that. Me and Amanda need to go on a ghost hunt probably.
We really do.
Really do.
And
We
record
really
it,
do.
please, so that we can
Yes.
watch it.
Well, we have threatened to go on with Don Kurtgich.
We have.
I
and
would
drag
pay
Karen.
really good money to watch that. I mean, I kind of want to come, but also I'm a real scaredy cat, so I'd prefer to watch it from the comfort of my home and my blanket, I think, than be there. But
You can
Can I
watch the
come to,
first
like-
one and join the second one if you
yeah,
want.
can I come to the dinner afterwards where you talk about it? But like,
Yeah,
not be
yeah.
on
The round. You
FaceTime?
should come to the round table. You can be our
Yes.
MC.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
I did do a panel with Yvette Fielding. Shall I try and bring her along? I don't know whether she would like.
There is a video somewhere of me and my friends from back when we were teenagers when we went and pretended to do the whole Vet Fielding, Derek Acora, Kieran O'Keefe thing in the dark because we were obsessed.
Amazing. I love that. I think that needs to like be put on the internet immediately, please. Go
It's
viral.
lost to the annals of videotape.
Like all the best and worst things. I'm really glad that like immediate photographs weren't available when I was a teenager, because
And then live streaming.
it would have been less fun. Like, can you imagine like being at a party or like, you know, we used to hang out in the back garden and like say and do really stupid stuff. And like, imagine if there was a potential of somebody photographing or live streaming that, it would have been really less fun. I feel for modern teenagers, like the fear of going viral for the wrong reasons must be like a real downer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
The whole thing is with TikTok, isn't it? Like, it's a bit prescripted, like it's scripted stuff, and
Yeah.
you've got to get the perfect shot.
Ugh. When I was in high school, do you guys know who Jerry Springer is?
Yeah. Jerry.
Yeah, when I was in high school, my friends and I would do pretend Jerry Springer episodes, and like we like did all like crazy makeup and like huge water balloon bosoms and like all sorts of crazy stuff. And there was one like recording of it that lasted for the longest time, but then the person who had it like moved away or something, so it's gone now, but it was so
Amazing.
great.
Amazing.
I kind of think that you should like reinstate that and like find a group of people to do that with you.
I should try to do that. There was like my character's name was Starla, and I had a star on my face, and it was just terrible. And like the best scene ever was a friend of mine. She already had large bosoms anyway, but she had water balloons, and then one of the water balloons like popped out and popped on the floor, and then she just like fell to the ground sobbing, and like that was the end of that clip.
I feel like some Jerry Springer episodes have probably ended like that.
Probably. But yeah, that's what I did as a teen, and there is video of it. Probably it might still exist, but I'm not sure where.
I'm just putting a call out to the universe, please. If you have this, please make it known. Thank you.
Please share this with the world.
That's so disturbing.
I love it that both of you though like have random stuff that you filmed as a teenager. Like I was literally just like hanging out in back gardens and like trying to see how many people could fit in a paddling pool and stuff like that. Like you two were filming like art, and I was just being an
Art?
idiot.
That's so generous.
Yeah.
We were being dumb.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, I was
and
like stuffing Pringles into my mouth and trying to count how many. Like that was
Oh, we did that as well.
yeah.
oh yeah, or you do
Oh,
it with
marshmallows are
marshmallows.
yeah, marshmallows are super dangerous. I remember the amount of times we've done that. Like, God, I'm really sorry. Oh dear.
Oh, anyway,
Oh, fluffy bunnies. I didn't know
yeah.
you called it fluffy bunnies until you told me.
Yes, and then I recorded myself doing fluffy bunnies and sent it to you, and you were like, "Oh, that's
Is this
what
the
you're
drinking
talking
game
about."
where you have to say the thing and it goes round the
It's
table?
putting
No,
marshmallows
this
in your mouth
is
and then saying
Oh
fluffy bunnies.
no,
Yeah,
we
you
did one where there was like you had to say stuff and it almost turns into swear words as you go and you have to not swear.
it's
Oh, I find
amazing.
that difficult.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just
I'm gonna have to
swearing
find the
all
script
the
of that.
time.
It's really funny.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
need to share that with us, and
I
then
think
Claire,
one
we need
bit
to try it.
yeah, one bit definitely was like it was just nonsense words, but the word thick was in it. And if you got to it and you said a word that does start with an F but has a U in instead, you had to drink. And it was just this silly thing that I think you passed it around the table like one line at a time, and it just got sillier and sillier and more like swear words. And if you swore, then you drank.
I would definitely
Yeah.
put the word hunt in it.
I feel like there were things like that in there, and like yeah, it was good fun. Gonna have
Yeah.
to find it. It was definitely something to do with bunnies, I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah, I
This
need to
could be
play
one of
that
these
game.
things I've imagined, right? You know, like your whole Jason Momoa has a tail.
I have sent you something on the Instagram chat. Thank you very much.
Ah, okay.
It might not be 100% accurate, but it's the closest thing I can think of.
Okay, I'm excited. That's my homework. You can go away and like read to the basement scene. Amanda can go and Gary Oldman herself, and I'll go
Yes.
and look at that.
I think
No,
it's
you need to
perfectly
reach the
fine.
frighteners.
That's a verb,
Oh,
isn't it? Like Gary
you
Oldman
have no
yourself.
idea how
Yeah.
excited I saw that story. I was like,
Yeah, I know.
"Alas!"
Well, do you know what I did? I said to Kev, like, I was like, what are we going to watch tonight? And then went, oh my God, I've not watched The Frighteners. Claire will like eviscerate me. Like, I will just be a pile of entrails if I
I'm
have to
so
face Claire and not have watched The Frighteners. Like, I don't think you'd let me come back on. Like,
No, no.
I don't know
I
what
mean, yes, I
behavior.
would, but
Well,
no.
yeah,
Yes.
I don't know what behavior could bar you from Fictional Hangover. Like, I don't know. I'm like not writing scary books anymore. I'm just gonna write like books where people kiss and are friends.
Oh, that's
No.
fine. I don't mind a bit of sexiness. It's
Okay,
fine.
so I couldn't
No,
get that.
see,
Like,
I
I'm
would be
really
done.
trying.
I'm like, fine.
I want spice.
And then they murder each other and have sex. Yeah,
Yay!
And then I'm drawn right back in.
yeah.
It's perfect. Oh, I think we need to ask our one would you rather question. Because
All right, let
again,
everybody
like
down. I'll try not to let you down. I'll really try. Come on, I can do this.
It's
Channeling
based
Kev,
on the
channeling.
summary. There's only so far we can go.
yeah, we couldn't get
It's not too bad,
in
this
too
one.
deep. No.
Okay, so what something to do with the cult and serial killer? Would you're gonna have to
Would you
remind me?
rather investigate a serial killer
Thank you.
or stop a cult?
So you do know that survival is my key concept and all these things. Survival and financial stability, as with the Alaric debacle of 2018 or whenever that was. I would not investigate a serial killer because I feel like the chances of death are higher. Whereas a cult, we've said you could have a nice time with a cult for a little while, and like I'm nearly 40, so I feel like I maybe wouldn't be the target of a cult leaves affections too. So I think I could kind of hang out at a nice like gated community cult and like eat all the homegrown produce and like stay away from the gun-toting maniacs, and I think that could be okay. But serial killer is just death and despair. Cult, maybe I could kind of
You do
pretend I'm
know a
on board
cult and a
with.
retirement home are two different things, yeah?
Yeah, I
In theory.
know. I'm just thinking that I could like fly under the radar in a cult and have a nice time, but I couldn't fly under the radar and have a nice time with a serial killer. Like this was the line I had to draw there.
Yeah.
Like if I really had to choose, because it's one of those things. Like I love serial killers and cults. However, I would not love to meet a cult leader or a serial killer.
Yeah,
I love vampires. I would like to meet a vampire. Like there's a difference, isn't there, in some of this material? Like fascinated with serial killers, want to meet one? No.
I think that you could pretend to be oblivious enough to avoid getting like actually sucked into a cult.
Yeah,
Just
like I think that could be fine. Like you could, like I said, like you might find a really nice like tea drinking and Buffy watching cult, and like they also do like demonic sacrifices or something. But you kind of,
Oh, that sounds nice.
yeah, I
I'd
mean,
be there for that.
yeah, I would just miss the sacrifice part. Amanda would just wholeheartedly
Mm.
partake, and you know,
Quite fun. I mean,
with-
if I get
yeah.
something out of it, why not? I mean, what am I sacrificing? People? I've got a
I mean,
list.
there was talk, Ashlyn, I don't remember where this came about, but she did wonder like whether I was some kind of cult leader because I picked her book for the book club and then it like went really high in a category and she was like, Amy and the cult. Maybe there's something in it. So maybe like I could set up a community of people that's funded by some benefactor and we just watch Buffy all day. Demon sacrifice is optional. Drink tea, eat nice food and have a good time. But it's still a cult because of the demon sacrifices. Like you have to do something a bit nasty to be a cult. Otherwise, like Claire
Yeah.
said, we're just a retirement community at this point. But so
What
yeah, cult. How about you,
defines a
Claire? Like I feel
cult?
like I don't know, like Amanda, are you on board? Like you're joining my cult. Claire, are you joining my
Yeah,
cult? Or are you
yeah.
like
No, I'm finding a serial killer. That shit sounds really funny.
like funny
I
until
want to.
they kill you? This is my problem with
Why
it.
is
Like
the serial killer killing me? I am investigating the serial killer. I will find the serial killer. I will go, hello, Mr. Police Person, if I'm not a police person myself. This is your serial killer. And they'll go, oh my God, you have just blown us away. And then I'll be all over the papers. And then because I'm so goddamn famous, and everybody's like, oh my God, she's so amazing, I'll start my own cult.
I mean,
Mm.
that's the correct answer, isn't it? That's the option
Yeah.
C that I didn't understand before, and now I do.
Yeah.
Like you get the best of both worlds. Like I nearly sang it like Miley. I won't. If anybody wants to do that, feel free.
But I've just looked up the definition of a cult, and it's a
Yeah.
system or group of people who practice excessive devotion to a figure, object, or belief system, typically following a charismatic leader. So my charismatic leader will be Amanda dressed as Gary Oldman's
Yeah, I
character.
mean, this is the
Okay?
lead. Yeah, this is the leader we've all
This
been
is
So
it.
there's
and
my
looking for.
figurehead,
Thank you.
and our belief system will be fiction is better than reality, so it's going
Yeah.
to be based on reading book
Yes.
and
Yes.
snacks and naps. As long as the snacks and as long as the nap, every Sunday we will have our ritualistic nap time.
Yes.
So everybody gets to just tuck it down on a Sunday afternoon and have a lovely nap. Yeah. And
I
yeah.
think it sounds great. I
And I
will lead
mean,
this cult.
you've already got the catchphrases, like cult members like chant stuff with each other, like all
Yeah.
vampires all the time. The
Yeah.
only cure for a fictional hangover is another vampire, but we could just chant that shit, for a
Yeah.
little while
Yeah.
together and be like, oh, the only cure for another fictional hangover is another vampire.
And then
Oh.
if anybody
that.
wants to join our
Yeah.
cult, you can already buy all of our cult paraphernalia
Yes.
at
Yes.
redbubble.com.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And then you join the Patreon and that will be your entry.
Yeah, we're
into
not
the
going to
cult.
demand
That's one of the criteria,
full
actually, paying money.
tithes.
So actually, we could make this like a cult as long as we tick off all the criteria, right? We've just people pay money to be there. So that's another
Yes.
cult characteristic. Charisma,
I'm not going to
fitness,
demand
yeah.
everybody's financial income though. That's too much. That's silly. And all I want is like a monthly tithe of $20 or
Yes.
350 if you're gonna
350
if you're gonna watch the 24-hour webcam we'll set up in Amanda's garden for the
which
squirrels.
you should, because now I will be dressed as Gary Oldman at least once at some point in time, and so you have to watch the live stream constantly to catch it.
Yeah.
And then when like that'll be your cue to do whatever cult thing we decide.
Do you know, honestly, I can imagine this
sounds like too
webcam being
good
set up, and then
Yeah.
Amanda does once just dress up as Gary Oldman. And if you do spot it, and if you do say what the date and time stamp it is, then you get a special prize. I for some reason, this is just like, this is starting, this joke is getting legs.
Yeah. Don't
You
worry.
do know that you have to do it now and that you've
Yeah.
set up an expectation.
Yes.
And is there any like other vampire characters? Like, do you do a good like David from? Have you been David from Lost Boys?
I have not been David from the Lost Boys. My other favorite vampire that I like to be is a pretty obscure one. It's her name is Lythe from J. Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire series.
Yeah.
That I like to be that vampire. Like you can see her mask is like above my head.
Yes, I love that. I've seen that one before. Jay Kristoff like shared that, didn't he? And I have a
Yeah.
little kind of fear.
Yeah, and I died a little bit when he shared it. So that's my other favorite vampire that I like to be. But really, Gary Oldman is just.
I just want to see you in a mullet. I think, like, I don't know.
I mean,
Going for a bit of-
Not the
I
strangest
think
request.
I think that you could. I just want to see like because it isn't the most to me the most appealing vampire look. I'm sorry, David, but I feel like it's like that borderline 80s ridiculous that we know and love.
yeah,
I kind of just want to see because I feel like you would own it and like rock it more than Kiefer Sutherland did probably.
yeah. I'll work on that. I will
Do you
work
not-
on that.
Do you not think David from Lost Boys is one of these guys where you're like, he's a really nice guy, Mom. He really is. But I can change him. I can change his look for the better. I'll
No,
get him to have a haircut and a wash, and put
no.
something on that's not a graphic design T-shirt that's a bit holy and rather stinky. I can change him, Mom. Don't worry.
No, you can't. You can't change that love.
No, mullets are
Probably
bad
not.
though. I'm putting my foot down. Mullets are bad.
Mullets are bad. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, is there a good mullet that I can use like to disprove your argument? And like,
No.
I'm just looking at my James Masters bust that's staring at me. I'm like, could James Masters pull off a mullet? No. Could Jason Momoa pull off a mullet?
No, do not touch his
No.
locks. Do not touch his fine
I'm not
locks.
touching the locks,
Step
but
away, Amy.
I'm trying to imagine a mullet and see
No,
if I'd
don't
still
do
find
it.
it appealing. Could Chris Hemsworth pull off a mullet?
No,
We'll
no.
make
I need
that
to
happen.
Google this
No,
now. Like,
there was
I'm
a
gonna
guy
find.
in
I'm
this.
gonna
I went,
spam you with
oh
like
no, it's
handsome men in
horrible.
mullet pictures now.
No.
Do they exist? Like, is there a whole like internet fandom for this that I
It's not a
can
I'm sure
mullet.
introduce
there
you to?
is. Yikes.
Okay,
Ugh.
Patrick Swayze has a mullet-esque,
Okay,
but it's not
yeah,
full mullet
yeah,
because it's not. And then you've got Thingy from Stranger Things, the hair.
yeah.
But
But
every
again,
single mullet. Oh,
they're more like
um,
faux mullets, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
not properly short. Like, what
what
is
do you
it?
call them?
Business in the front, party in the back. That's the
Yes.
definition of
Yeah.
mullet, isn't it?
That is the definition of a mullet.
What do
I
you
don't
call
know where I got that
Damien?
from.
Is no, that's not. No, that's not. That's somebody else.
Claire, what you're searching for doesn't exist, so you should.
No. Right now, I'm looking and I'm thinking, what?
Yeah.
There was a
Mm-mm.
guy today I saw in the bookshop who had a mullet, and it just looks dirty, like
It's not good.
greasy. And I'm like, can you wash your hair, please?
Mm.
And
I'm just seeing this as a challenge now. Like, this is my homework. Last time I watched The Frighteners for you, I'm gonna find you a
A
mulleted
sexy mullet.
gentleman that that has washed hair and isn't wearing a graphic tee and looks good. That's my challenge. Does it exist? Or are we gonna come empty-handed
do you know a
next
lot of
time?
these images of the Tiger King? I'm just gonna say,
Okay.
this is
Mm-mm.
awful.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Is that a real mullet? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so extreme. I'm just thinking that's like, yeah.
I think
And-
you've got
and
to,
also-
you've got it's got to be the right mullet. It has to be properly shaved down. It has to
Yeah.
be the full party
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-mm.
Nah, it doesn't exist. Right.
Mm-mm.
That is my search history
Mm-mm.
ruined.
It
Thank you.
doesn't exist.
I'm
It's not a
really
thing.
sorry. I've just got to put you on, like, I'm on that bad list of like, how long could a person stay alive in a coffin? Like, where can you stab somebody and not kill them? All this kind of stuff is on my search history. For now,
So when
I've
you've
given you
been
handsome mulleted men
accused
is
of
on your.
murder, when you've been accused of murder, they'll be able to go, oh, but the search history was how do you hide a body in these areas?
Yeah, I mean,
Evidence.
yeah, like what is the most convenient way to leave no traces of a body? Like this is the kind of stuff that I regularly Google.
But then
Oh my God, you've become a published author, so you can hide your serial killer ways.
I
Yes,
know this.
that's
You've got
why.
me. Like
Yes.
you've just.
That's one of my
exposed it
12
on the-
confessions, Amanda.
Oh wow. That's
I
amazing.
missed this. What's the 12 confessions? Like,
We were
is
talking to Dawn Kurtich for her new and indie spotlight for Blood on the Wind, and she was asking about when are we going to write a book, and I was saying about a thing that's been going on in my head, which is a book that's called 12 Confessions, and each confession is done very differently, like a series of tweets, or it might be, a blog post or something, and everything is confessing to something. So now one of my 12 confessions has to be an author who becomes a
Yep.
published author to
Yep.
hide the search history of how
Yep.
they kill people. It's ridiculous, but it'll be
It's done.
funny.
Yeah, it's done.
I'm
You
always
write
really
these down.
surprised. Like I walked into Comic-Con dragging an absolutely enormous
A dead
case
body.
with this look on my face of like, this case is really heavy. And I kind of went to open it and the security guard was like, oh no, it's fine. And I'm like, I obviously have an oh no, it's fine face. But what if there was like a whole, like at Comic-Con people have like real swords and stuff that get
Yeah.
taken off them. Like I could have had like a whole plethora of like real weapons ready to just kind of give out at Comic-Con. But
You've
just
got
because I
that
had this,
face.
yeah, I
I
know.
know,
So
but
I
you're
feel
just so
like
precious.
we entered Mexico temporarily too when we were driving through the deep south and like got hit a border patrol. And again, they just looked at me and Kevin went, "Oh, go on, bye." And I was like, I really like would maybe have a face that could get away with it. I
It's
don't
the
know.
face that writes unicorns and the soul that writes vampires.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did have this conversation at work, and I was voted the most likely in my big office to get away with it if I was a serial killer because nobody would believe that I did it. And I was like,
Nah, we're on
"Aw,
to you.
Aw,
We're on.
thanks."
We know your
yeah,
search
Yeah,
history.
you know me
know.
really.
We know.
Honestly, the amount of story ideas that's spiraling around my head right now is absolutely wild. I'm
We
like,
should probably let you go to write them down.
Probably should.
yeah,
We
now I'm going to
probably
watch this
should.
back and just write them all down. It's when I do
You've
stuff.
got to remember.
When I do,
I'm forgetting we're recording.
yeah, I know. When I do panel events, quite often people say stuff that sparks off an idea, and I'm like, oh no, I've got to listen to you, but also I've got to remember this idea for the next 30 minutes because like you've said something genius that's just sparked it off, and now I've got to like listen to you and keep it there. So yeah, at least I can watch this back. Although I don't like watching myself back generally because I just listen to the things I say, especially to you two. You two are terrible at getting me to say really silly things, and then you use them in the little like, the little snippets of
Yes.
watch this episode. Amy goes, "I would eat the floor cheese."
Floor
Right,
cheese.
thanks for that. But floor cheese that falls on carpet is bad. Floor cheese that falls on hard
Oh
floor is
no,
fine.
no. Carpet floor. No.
No.
Yeah.
Draw a line.
And you'll find something. I mean, you had a good one earlier, Claire. I feel like that needs to be in the promo. What was the exact something to do with the moral compass? I don't remember what adjective you.
Noodles.
Yeah,
Like a wobbly compass.
yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't
Ugh.
say the word flaccid, but it was implied.
I mean, it was definitely there.
Yeah, it was there without you saying it. I think that's my favorite quote. But
Flaccid
I'll
compass.
watch and let you know if there are any other pillars. I'm sure there will. With the three of us, it's guaranteed.
It definitely is. Oh
It's definitely
gosh.
an organic conversation.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is, and that's what why people have got to love that. That's why they're here, isn't it? To hear people who genuinely love what we're talking about, and we have real affection for each other. And
Yes.
next time Amanda comes to the UK, she is going to tell us that she's here so that I can meet her.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And then
I get it. No, I totally get it. It was really lovely that and I think you two did need to have a moment as well. Like nobody else should have honed in on that. It was really nice the way you did it, but I just want to be involved next time, please.
next time you will be, because you have to be involved in the haunted house and or the round table that happens afterward.
I mean, I could interview you all when you were all like emotionally, physically, and in every other way scarred by it, if you like.
Yes.
I
That
could be
sounds
the kind
fantastic.
of,
Yes.
I could be the chair at the end who sympathetically asked you about your ordeal. Like, I can totally be there for you in that moment.
Yeah, I think.
And then laugh at us as we're crying.
Yes.
And not just laugh at the fact that you spent 3 hours in a house in which nothing happened. That's definitely not going to happen.
It's fine.
Just need to go on a ghost hunt and something to happen once, just once.
Honestly, the amount of ghost hunts that I've been on, and like I went down into the Edinburgh Crypt, and they're going, "This is the most haunted spot." Everybody else runs away from it, and I run into it. Like,
Yeah. Don't go in this corner because the
I
woman who
know.
haunts this corner apparently doesn't like women. Oh, edging a bit
Oh.
closer.
I went in the most haunted graveyard in New Orleans. I don't remember which one it was, and they were like, "This particular tombstone, and this part of the light never works here, and like there's obviously really malevolent forces." And as he's talking, I'm just inching towards it, like, can I just like feel anything here or no?
Do you know what we need to do? We need to go to Thirsty East Drive in Pontefract, which is apparently, Amanda, the most haunted residential house in the UK, and it has a violent poltergeist.
I
Okay.
don't
And you
live
can
that far
stay
from
over.
there. I didn't know about this. Like,
Yeah, you can stay over as well if you
what?
if you Google 30 East Drive,
Okay, I'm doing it.
you can book it to go and spend the night.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
That sounds great.
I don't know
Let's
if I
plan
ever
it.
told you about my only experience that I can't attribute to anything other than ghostliness. So I don't know whether I've told this story. I'm sorry if I have already. You're gonna hear it again. So we stayed in, as you do when you go to the American West, we stayed in a Western town, and I chose a building that used to be a Civil War hospital. And the hospital had been knocked down, and then they built a hotel on it. And I was like, that's a lovely place for us to stay, right? So we stayed there, and I didn't have a child at this point. It was just me and Kev. And he went down to the car park, and Kev, as I thought, knocked on the door in the way that Kev does. This not I don't know if you can hear like that, the traditional knocking pattern.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was laying on the bed, super hot. We'd had a long journey. And I was like, oh man, why is he knocking on the door? And I like marched over really angry, flung the door open. And Kev is in the car park below, as in in American motels. And I was like, Kev's there. Why is Kev doing his knock on the door? And literally I looked and there was nobody else around. And I cannot for the life of me work out how that happened apart from that. And like he was too far away for it to have been Kevin 5 seconds later. And he's there looking at me really confused too, like, why are you staring at me like in anger and terror? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I had a ghost encounter. And as far as ghost encounters go, it's not super exciting, but I cannot explain it. So that's why I like it, because I don't have any. Have either of you two had? I feel like this is totally off topic now, but I want to know.
Yes.
Amanda has, I have not.
Yes, I've only had
that's
the
why
one.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
We'll try and get you on, Claire. We'll send you somewhere really haunted. We can make this
I've
happen.
tried. Amanda, give yours, because yours is good.
Yeah, well, I've only had the one, and it was just a recent trip that we took to Eureka Springs, which you guys have probably heard about, like the Crescent Hotel and all of the stuff that happens in Arkansas. So we were staying in this little bed and breakfast, and there was a motion detecting light in the bathroom if you went into the bathroom in the middle of the night, the light would click on, so you could pee and not be in the complete pitch black darkness.
That's super helpful, actually. The amount of hotels that I like stagger around slapping the walls and
yeah.
So I like this story so far. This is a hopeful hotel.
Yeah.
I see where it's going, maybe. I'm so scared.
Well, but it gets worse. So, we were getting ready for bed, and I was already kind of creeped out anyway. Like I wanted to plug my phone in, and there was an extension cord that was under the bed, because this is like a really old place, and so there weren't a lot of outlets. So there was extension cords all over the place, and I tried to pull it, and it like pulled back. And so I thought, okay, and I told my husband, like, I'm just not going to plug my phone in, and it's going to be fine, and I'll charge it tomorrow, because I don't want to get under the bed to see why this cord is not pulling. So then, we went to bed, we turned off all the lights, and I woke up in the middle of the night because the light in the bathroom clicked on. And I was like, okay, well, great. That's terrifying. So then I like sat there, eyes wide open, terrified, but like not wanting to turn toward the bathroom. And then the light clicked off, but then it clicked back on again later. And I was like, okay, well, great. That's fantastic. I'm haunted. But then I felt someone, like, I guess I had fallen back asleep, and I swear I felt someone like reach with claws through the bed and try to pull me down through the mattress. And I was like, okay, it's done. I'm never sleeping again. And then when I woke up after that, the light clicked on. So, no.
That's
haunted.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And then
Claire's just thinking, like, what hotel room was this? Can I just like get the details?
Well, I have a friend who is she's very witchy. She's seen ghosts in like the library that we worked at. Not my new precious tiny little baby library, but in the other library that we worked in together. She's seen ghosts and stuff. So she's like that type of person. And so I was telling her the story, and she was like, well, I go to Eureka Springs all the time, and I bet I can tell you which bed and breakfast you were in. And so I pulled up the website, and she's like, oh yeah, and you were in this one, weren't you? And I was like, yes, I was. And she's like, oh yeah, you were haunted, but they just wanted to play with you, so it's fine. Like, no.
So you didn't
want to play.
So they just played with you in the room, but they didn't, come home and settle residence where you live. So that's fine.
Fine.
It's all good.
Fine.
And this is where in a horror movie something moves on the shelf behind Amanda, and we all go.
Oh, it would have been great if it.
I don't know. I'm watching your background. I'm really sorry. I'm like just checking. Oh, we really.
Amanda, your doll's just moved.
Yeah.
No. You're so funny.
Yeah. One day I fully expect Scully Jordis to start waving at me, considering how often I play it with them.
Honestly,
it would be
you're
fine.
so good at it too. Like, I do really struggle when I'm watching the videos. I'm like, this is really Scully Joe doing it, right? Yeah.
I'm not going to even tell you how long it took me to do that one, because god damn, it took ages.
It was so good. I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologise. I had fun doing it.
Yeah.
I was more trying to find my props. Do you know how long it took me to find his glasses? And then the bit with the tarot card reading at the beginning, which if you look up the meaning behind them, it means good fortune and you're going to get
Oh,
wealth or something's going to come forward.
oh,
Which
that's
was the whole
nice.
point of my Buffy. I use my Buffy tarot deck,
Yes, I did
and
recognize the tarot deck and think,
oh, I've got
I said,
loads now. I've got the supernatural one quite recently. That's fun. And that recorded. I had loads of takes. I was telling Amanda earlier, but the actual one with the actual proper take on it, for some reason, just went black, and I had to redo it. I was like, "Nah,
Haunted.
it does
haunted,
seem like tarot cards.
technologically cursed."
Yeah, and I just don't want to be captured. Like that reading didn't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
I have the Nightmare Before Christmas ones. They're really cool.
I
And I
haven't
have the
got those
Buffy
ones, but I
ones,
desperately
obviously.
do because it's my favorite artist, it's Abigail Lawson, who does it, and I absolutely freaking adore her. And that's the only one of her tarot decks, and she's done a few that I haven't got. So yeah,
You
I
need
need
it.
to get it.
I need
The
that
Vampire
one.
Teddy one is so cute. It's ridiculous. I have to keep that one on the top just so if I need a little look at them, I'm like, oh, there's my little vampire. And of course, again. I let my son look at them the other day. It was so funny because he just interpreted. He hasn't watched it yet, and like his interpretations of the characters, he was like, "Oh, mummy, look, it's a baby zombie, and it's this like terrifying, like distorted baby." And he's like, "Oh, it's so cute." I'm like, "It's not. It looks like it would eat you."
I've got 7 tarot cards decks now. Just counted them.
So
I
many.
think I've got 4. I've got Buffy, Nightmare Before Christmas, a Witchy Women one, and then I have a Vampires one, which I've lost the box of, and I just keep finding the cards around my room.
I've got
Oh, that's
Hocus.
cool.
I've got the Hocus Pocus one, Darkwood Tarot, which is Abigail Larson. Horror tarot deck. I've got 2 copies of that because one of them I'm going to turn into art. That's Abigail Larson.
Awesome.
Jane Austen.
Jane Austen, what?
Jane Austen tarot card.
Okay, I
Yeah,
might
it's
need that.
behind. Supernatural, Buffy. What's this one? Oh, the Night Circus.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know there'd been a Night Circus one. That's a gorgeous box.
Yeah.
I feel like someone should do an Empire of the Vampires one. Actually, while I'm
Yes.
manifesting stuff, could I have a Mina one too? You know.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes, manifest.
I'm not going to
manifest.
manifest it for Jay Kristoff. Like I need some of this action too. Like
When
Steph.
his trilogy's finished, he can have his, but your trilogy's done, so now we can have the Mina one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I think that's
obviously,
fair.
it does seem
Perfectly
fair.
fine.
I need to try and interview him. I'm like slowly trying to interview as many vampire authors as I can. I'm like, I've just organized an author who I really like. I'm going to be interviewing in a couple of weeks. That's going to be cool. Who's
Oh.
recently turned to the vampire side of things.
Mm.
If I just hear anybody doing a vampire book, I'm like, I need to try and get in touch with this person so I can like share the vampire love around.
When we got to
Amanda's
talk,
still vibrating
Yeah.
because of Jay Kristoff when we got to interview him.
yeah, that was amazing.
That is cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. The only other person I'm waiting for swoon worthy is Steve West, narrator, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I mean, let's manifest it for you. You know, the
Thank
person you want
you.
to interview is Steve West. Let's just
Thank you.
put it out there.
Yes.
We can do it. We can do it.
But
I
we're
feel
gonna
like if
have to-
I can talk to Kendara Blake, like if you told 20-something-year-old me that I would be friends with Kendara Blake, it's like not even, you know, these things can only happen if you reach out. I just dropped it. She followed me and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to DM her instantly. I know it's really uncool, but I did. And I DM'd her. I was like, I love your books. Can I interview you? And do you want to read my vampire book? I'll send you a copy. And of course, being Kendara Blake and she's lovely, was like, yes and yes. So
She's so great.
I love her.
it's lovely when your heroes kind of are really as cool as you hope they're going to be. It's
Yeah.
very, very pleasing.
Yes.
I would love to do a Buffy panel with you and Kendara.
Yes,
Wouldn't that
please.
be amazing?
Yeah, I will
Mm.
always be on a Buffy panel. And in fact, most of the authors I'm friends with are Buffy fans too. So if you would like to cherry pick anyone to be on this Buffy panel with us, I think that would be excellent.
Would be
We need to do an in-person live Buffy panel, but Kendara needs to come
Honestly.
over.
But
I
you
know.
know who else loves Buffy? PC Cast.
Oh,
yes.
really? Interesting.
Yes.
That would be a conversation, wouldn't it? Can you imagine?
Yes.
Can you just, yeah, I think that would be really, really fun. Manifesting that too. Can we just get Jay Kristoff in there as well? I feel like he probably
Let's
loves
just
Buffy.
get
Like,
everybody. Let's just
Yeah.
get everybody.
Let's just ask everyone. It'll be
Come on,
our
Buffy.
next Halloween episode, but it's not Halloween, it's Buffy.
I think Gwendolyn Christie loves Buffy too, from what I remember, who wrote The Reluctant Immortals. I'm sure there's a Buffy tangent there. Whenever I interview a vampire author, I'm like, can I just check if your love of vampires came from Buffy? And usually the answer is yes, it did. So
I think if you're of a generation, you are the slayer and lover
Yeah.
of.
yeah, I mean, it was the main. I'm just thinking like Lost Boys obviously was there too, and Into the Vampire in terms of and Dracula. Yeah.
Yes.
But
But
I do
weekly
yes, weekly
TV series
infusions
about
of
an inspiring female character who kicks ass,
yeah,
takes no prisoners, and is a vampire slayer.
and wears amazing clothes
Yeah.
and has amazing quips. Like
And there's nerdy friends.
yes,
Willow made being a nerd cool.
Yes. There's nothing better.
And it stars a librarian. Freaking librarian.
yes.
Swoon.
Wow, there we go. On that swoony bombshell and that
swoony- yes.
manifestation,
Yes.
I think we've non-spoiled Mina and the Cult enough, which
Yes.
I
is
mean,
still...
because we talked about everything else in the universe, we talked
That's-
plenty about the book, but yeah,
yeah.
we also
We talked about cults and serial killers.
yeah,
For a long time.
Vampires.
It's fine.
yeah.
Okay.
I think
but
people
you,
have got the point. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But you are going to come back when we talk
I
about
will.
it. Okay.
Yay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Great. Fine.
Always. Just
So-
assume if you want me to come on,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. Good.
Mint.
Okay. So that's it for this mini new and indie spotlight episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire.
Join us next time for our regularly scheduled episode on Wednesday. Look out for our Would You Rather polls on social media. Don't forget about our book club on Discord. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover themed merchandise and become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book. That was harder than I did it the last time because I had fangs in, but I didn't spit them out, so I win.
Way!
Impressive. I think you get better